Yeah, bud.
Hey Internet, this is Eric. You may know me from my Afro pop band Bless the Rains. Today we're going to learn how to write a drum chart for Pot is Calling Kettle Black by Kunle. This is a self-described Afro soul chart, so there's a few things to keep in mind. First of all, it is not at all uncommon to have multiple percussionists for this kind of music. When dealing with multiple percussion players, it's important that everyone understand what their role is. Don't write parts that step on each other's toes, aim for complementary or contrasting parts over imitation. If you only have one percussionist, a creative drummer might be able to do double duty by playing hand drums or shakers, but remember that an average drum kit will have a snare, a kick, hi-hats, ride cymbal, crash cymbal, and 2 toms, 1 high and 1 low. Don't surprise your drummer with extra requirements, add a legend if need be, and make any extras nice and obvious. Be sure that the parts that you write are actually possible to play as well. Yes, a drummer technically can play left foot clave while playing an intricate tom pattern with their kick playing 3 over top, but this is the kind of thing that generally requires a bit of practice and should be brought up long ahead of time. Do not expect a sight-reading drummer or gun for hire to be able to nail it without some kind of rehearsal. This chart specifically will be written for drum set with the assumption that there will be another percussionist in the band. Remember, as always, conventions will vary from community to community, but if I was playing with your band, this is roughly what I'd want to see. Now for the first question when it comes to notating any drum chart. Afro soul is a wide blanket term which doesn't really give us many hints about specifics, but in this specific case, this song is in 2 very different feels of 12/8. We've got an almost Afro-Cuban feel during the first verse and bridge and a backbeat feel during our choruses. Our first tempo feels like it's around dotted quarter note equals 120, and our second is a little bit closer to dotted quarter note equals 60. Rather than just hope that our drummer knows what these tempos are offhand, we're just going to write dotted quarter note equals dotted eighth note or halftime. If you have eagle eyes, you may notice that I have a suspiciously perfect number of bars here, and that's actually because I transcribed this entire song and only then realized that I didn't actually hit record. So I deleted everything just for you. So despite the feel oddity, there isn't too much that strikes me as being weird in here. We do have a relatively common intro, verse, chorus, bridge, solos, chorus form. Between the bridge and the solos, there's a part with some spoken word. And because parts like this can be extended live or changed up depending on how the artist feels, I'm just going to go ahead and put some open repeats here. I might not need them, but it's better that I be actively listening at this part rather than just assuming that the artist is going to go along with their recording. Also, our intro is a little bit odd, as it's 20 bars instead of a bit more regular 16 or 8. And because I like to think in bass 2, let's call this intro 4 and then 16. I'm going to write a little reminder to myself that strings come in here because lots of reminders are a good thing. So because this style of music is not common where I'm from, I'm going to be notating a full drum beat out, so there's a little bit of a default correct rhythm, and I'm not throwing anyone who hasn't heard of this music under the bus by using slash notation. Now, having worked with this artist before, I know that he defines this song and the beat of it by using an offbeat quarter note hi-hat feel here in the chorus. So I'm just going to make sure to re-emphasize that. You know what, I'm even going to add some slightly unnecessary accents to really drive that point home. No shots to worry about per se, and the dynamics tend to flow somewhat naturally, so I'm just going to leave those as they are. It is okay to have your hi-hat, snare, and kick all sharing the same stem, but as a rule of thumb, I group my drum parts as static versus non-static. For example, this part repeats, so it gets its own stem. So drummers will naturally add fills as needed. Don't write fills unless you're absolutely sure that you need them there. But because the feel changes are so abrupt and rely on the entire band changing alongside them, I'm going to go ahead and make the executive decision to add fills before all of these points in order to set up the next part. Remember that this is what fills should be used as, a cue or a setup for a section. This may not work in every situation because sometimes artists don't want to kind of give away the surprise of the feel change, but if this is your first time with an under-rehearsed band, it is generally better for your drummer to guide musicians in order to ensure that everyone stays tight and there's no train wrecking. This is one of the few situations where I would actually advise notating a fill or two, just to ensure that your drummer knows what these transition points are and what they should feel like. Otherwise, as always, don't notate your fills unless you're absolutely sure that you need that sound. It's akin to notating a solo or a walking bass line. Presume that your drummer knows how to fill better than you do. So as always be re-listening during your notation. The look of these 12 bars of rest is giving me a conniption, but I mean, it is still all accurate and legible. Yeah, I like the look of this a little bit better. I'm going to see if I can make the language clear for the string swells as well. I think set up halftime is clearer than get ready for halftime. I don't want to make it sound like a football game. I'm being very particular as how I'm formatting this right now because I really want to avoid a third page. 2 pages are very manageable and most music stands can accommodate them, but as soon as you have 3 pages, you need to start worrying about when and how to turn them. So if you can avoid it, I would highly recommend doing so. I would absolutely love to add an accent mark or something similar on this last rest to essentially say, hey, do not play here, just to make sure that my drummer doesn't accidentally crash. But since this program doesn't allow for that, we're just going to add a fermata instead, and that should make our drummer kind of double guess this part here and imply the silence. You know what? I'm not actually going to risk it. Let's just put that instruction in English right here. Now let's trim some fat, make it look nice, add a title and artist, and I think this is ready for us to give it a read.
What is calling Kettle black? La la. What is calling Kettle black? La la. What is calling Kettle black? La la. What is calling Kettle black? Yes, I know I've got my own flaws, and my mistakes are for me to learn. Oh, why do you have to make everyone feel worse as if you're better than them? What is calling Kettle black? 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 When you point a finger at someone else, yeah. 4 fingers is pointing back at you, yeah. When you point a finger at someone else, 4 fingers is pointing back at you. Ready? For all those people who we not get them at time, make them carry them a while ago. 1, 2, 4. Okay, yeah, so sure.
We now have a nice legible drum chart that I would be proud to show the cute German girl that I met on vacation. I'm not going to ask you to like, comment, and subscribe, but as a personal favor to me, write a nice drum chart instead of telling your boy to just follow the bass player, please. As always, support the artist who was kind enough to let me use their music. This is Kunle's Pot is Calling the Kettle Black. So have fun, practice hard, and do not explode, and I will catch you all next time.